Welcome, everyone, to The Big Push. I'm Aaliyah's mom, Liz. I'm the founder and CEO of Aaliyah in Action and the co-director of awareness of Push for Empowered Pregnancy. We are so happy that you are here pushing for change as parents, friends, and family members who have experienced loss. It's not easy to understand the magnitude of emotion a mother and family feels when they have been told their entire life has changed forever, that their baby has died. My daughter, Aaliyah Denise Briscoe, was born still December 1st, 2020, 2 miles from here at GW Hospital. Today, we have an incredible art installation right over here, done by the amazing Ashley J. Williams, a local DC artist. This installation was created with 23,000 baby hats to represent the number of stillbirths a year in the United States. The depiction of an anguished woman just scratches the surface on how we as parents feel every day. Underneath the picture, we have a quote that says, "Stillbirth is 23,000 US child deaths every year. Enough is enough. United we push." We hope you can connect with this emotion and invite you to add your own story to it. Over at the tables, you can write your baby's name in a hat and add it to this artwork. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Liz. Good afternoon, everyone. First, I want to ask if you're here for the Big Push March to please come up, come closer. We're so thankful that you're here with us today. We want to first start by thanking our sponsors, especially our top-tier sponsor, Earth Mama. Without our sponsors, this day wouldn't be possible, so we're really grateful for them. Just some logistical stuff before we get started. If you need the restroom, it is on my left, your right, those porta potties right there. If you are in need of some medical help or anything like that, our snacks, there's a tent in the back, the white tent in the back for those. If you have any questions or anything, if you just need some type of support, that white back tent over there is where you can go. So those are the logistical stuff. If you are taking pictures, we ask that you hashtag BigPush2022 so that we can get all of the fabulous pictures that you guys are taking while this is going on. This phenomenal day is happening. We're also live streaming on YouTube, so you'll be able to catch this later as well if you want to share with your friends and family. We're going to get started. We're going to get right into it. We're going to start with our opening keynote speaker, and her name is Shawnee Benton Gibson. She is a phenomenal maternal, and yes, you can clap. She is awesome. Shawnee Benton Gibson is a phenomenal maternal and reproductive health advocate. She is a strong voice in the BIPOC community and has recently shared her voice and story of her daughter, Shawnee Gibson, in the documentary Aftershock, which highlights one of the most pressing crises in America today, the maternal health crisis. She is a personal friend of mine, like my big sister, my mentor, and she is definitely a friend of Push. Ladies and gentlemen, Shawnee Benton Gibson.
Greetings, family. Y'all gonna have to do better than that. Greetings, family, all families, all ancestors, all of the folks that are part of our lineage as a sacred people, as humankind, and then also our separate families and those deep connections that we want to maintain, but sometimes we forget. I'm so grateful and honored and humbled to be with all of you today at this Big Push event so that we can talk about the intersecting impacts of infant morbidity and mortality and maternal morbidity and mortality. As my beloved friend Marjorie shared, I am an activist and an advocate for Black maternal health, but I'm a lover of all things womb, related, WOMB, and woman related, and birthing people related. We are here because of the awesome power of the womb. So let's give a hand to the wombs that manifested us. We are here because someone said yes, and even if they said no, you are still here. So they moved through, and you came through, and your first rite of passage was your first breath and cry because you made it. And that's amazing. A hand again for the wombs. Please, we cannot clap enough. We cannot acknowledge enough. Sometimes we forget that sacred experience happened because we're taught to get into life and to start moving things before we get a chance to really own and acknowledge that not everybody got a chance to breathe a first breath, to see the first light, to experience being held for the first time. So we acknowledge that. Also, you are sitting, standing, speaking, eating, doing all that you're doing in this sacred space because of indigenous First Nation people. We cannot forget, and we must acknowledge that the false narrative of discovery has us all twisted and confused. And so I start this or continue this speaking ritual with a land acknowledgement. So for those of you who are willing, because it's all invitation, not obligation, I say that all the time, you don't have to do it, but I always wonder, why wouldn't you do it? Place your hand on the gravel, the grass, place your hand on your heart, because we are manifestations of earth and we will return to earth so that you can acknowledge the land. You live on these lands. You work on these lands. You play on these lands. Even if you flew across land to get here and across the sea, you are inextricably tied to the land. And First Nation people tilled the soil. They bled into the land through menstrual flow. When they died, ceremonially, they activated the land in its power when they planted seeds and grew crops. All of that is connected to the sacredness of the land. And when we forget that they were the first here, that they established a nation before colonialism and before white supremacy took over, then we forget our own humanity and we forget that we are blessed and privileged because of them. So let's acknowledge the people who are part of this sacred land, the Piscataway people. Let's acknowledge those who are part of this Washington, D.C. energy and fabric. Let's make sure that we don't forget when we do our events, when we go back home, wherever home may be, to do it, ask for a land acknowledgement, but first do the study and the research so that you know what you're actually talking about and it's not perfunctory or performative, that it actually has meaning. So I salute our people. They are our people. And I acknowledge that as we walk away, as we stand, as we sit, as we push for empowered pregnancy, as we engage in the big push to prevent infant loss and maternal loss, that we do it with the energy of truth behind us. So I was asked to be the keynote speaker. And in white supremacy culture, that means, oh, you're one of the smartest, or you're one of the most prolific. I'm here to tell you I'm a black woman with black children who's made many mistakes. I've released pregnancies because I refuse to use the language of abortion and termination. I've released pregnancies in my lifetime. I've also had 3 live births, one of which is my daughter who passed away in 2019 due to a birth-related pulmonary embolism. Her name, Shawnee Gibson, must be spoken along with other mothers who have transitioned doing the most natural thing, a sacred rite of passage, which is bringing new life into the world. I'm the keynote because I was invited to be that, but I want to dismantle the language of keynote and just say I'm one sister speaking to other sisters, brothers, LGBTQIA identified people, however you identify. I'm here to use my voice to amplify your voice. So erase the keynote and just be with me as a human being and as a person, and as someone who is in mourning for many types of losses, mourning my innocence. Because my sexual and reproductive health journey is not only connected to the babies that I have birthed, or the releases of pregnancies, or the loss of my daughter, or the manifestation of my 2 grandchildren, Anari and Kari. It is also tied to me being a person who experienced sexual trauma as a child. It's tied to my rape. My womb has been wounded. And when women are carrying babies, or birthing people are carrying babies, and they have trauma, that trauma sometimes is transferred. And sometimes it makes it hard for us to move through our pregnancy experiences and do it in a well state. It's important for us to recognize that our trauma also creates a dynamic called epigenetics. And if we don't do the work we need to do in this life and in these bodies and as adults or young people, then we'll be able to transfer the energy through our wombs into our babies. And this is not a judgment. This is just a fact. As a person who is a metaphysician, I know that my intellect is not enough for me to speak to you. My spirit, tied to my emotional state, my humanness makes me dope. My humanness makes me prolific. My humanness and willing to be emotionally intelligent as I speak to you. My ability to tap into the ancestors and ask them, what must I say now to make a difference for the people sitting on this sacred space, in this sacred place where many have stood and spoken. My flaws make me a powerful speaker. And so I don't want to have a misconception about anything being unique about me other than me being willing to speak and have the courage to tell the truth about myself. One of the things that I want to leave you with today, as the person who has been designated to kick this off, is that when you are pushing for empowered pregnancy, when you are engaging in the big push to prevent infant loss, or infant morbidity and mortality, or maternal morbidity and mortality, you must know what the surge of the push is coming from. If we are not in conversations about white supremacy culture, if we're not in conversations about patriarchy, if we're not in conversations about capitalism, where we're pushing might land us in a ditch and in a perpetual loop of repeating the same cycles over and over again. I unapologetically denounce white supremacy culture and what it stands for. Part of the characteristics of white supremacy culture is either or thinking. Well, it must be this or that. That's limited thought. Or power hoarding, that this person has a right to tell their story as opposed to this other person. Also, paternalism, categorizing people in their value. Because I'm embodied as a black woman, there's a view that when I was carrying my babies and when I went to engage in labor and delivery that they had of me. I was a young woman who experienced postpartum depression, was not asked a damn thing about how I was doing after I had my baby. And all three of the babies, I'm a woman who experienced postpartum depression and psychosis for all three of my pregnancies and was never asked if I was okay. That's a problem. Patriarchy has it that you deliver, we bill for your delivery, and then we send you on with your baby, and that's it. We know that 12 months after a black or brown mother gives birth, she is still in danger of death due to cardiomyopathy, hemorrhage, pulmonary embolism, which is what my daughter passed away from after telling folks she couldn't breathe and that she didn't feel like herself, and them like, oh, you just had a baby. Go lay down, put your feet up, which is the worst thing she could have ever done with that condition. We must pay attention to those who have postpartum depression because they end up dying and being part of statistics sometimes, not all the time. So we need to pay attention to what they're going through, and also domestic violence. It is important for us to push through the lens of anti-racism and anti-black racism specifically, because in this country, racism and patriarchy are built and baked into everything. The educational system, the medical system, every system, how we grow food, every single system is impacted and toxified by these twins, patriarchy and white supremacy culture. So as we push, let's use the momentum of anti-racism and anti-patriarchy so that we can be moving in the right direction with the right momentum for this movement. We must. It's uncomfortable. Your belly may be flipping, but I'm not here to be liked. I'm here to leave a message that will make a difference. The final thing that I want to say in this space is make sure that you are turning to your left and your right and looking behind you so you know what community looks like. Don't let this be the final conversation that you have with the person that's sitting to your right or your left or in back of you or in front of you. We have to de-silo this work. I don't care what region you come from. We all must decentralize how we do this work with black maternal health and reproductive justice and social justice. All of it must be done in partnership, whether you're from California or New York like I'm from, or the Midwest, wherever you're from, or whether you're an immigrant from another country. We must all bond together, but using the lens of social justice and using the lenses of collective impact so that we're not perpetuating darkness, low vibration, and manifesting the same statistics and outcomes again and again. So I want to say to you, before I take my seat or continue to stand wherever I land, that I thank you for being part of the human community. I thank you for being part of this conversation. I thank you for allowing your pain to be manifested into power and to generate a movement that makes a difference. I thank you for listening in this space. I thank you for not allowing your belly flips to stop you from speaking truth and truth into power, and also owning how we all perpetuate these systems that hurt and harm folks. I also want to share that, and this may not make sense to all, but ask me a question afterwards, because I'll be here for the entire day and for the movement and the walk. I have a white male, old man living inside of me. I say it all the time, people laugh, but I was indoctrinated in a system that taught me to think like a man, and not think like a black man, but think like a white man. And so I judge people based on their educational status because I was taught to do that. I separate by who's smart and who's not, because when I was labeled smart, I was taught to separate myself from the students that were not. We must own that we've been indoctrinated and acculturated and conditioned to perpetuate whiteness and patriarchy. And I am going to stop that little white man from speaking for me every opportunity I get. I'm a black woman, unapologetically. I'm a black mother, unapologetically. I'm a black flawed person, unapologetically. And I stand here with you owning that whiteness oozes from me, but I'm recovering every day. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Be blessed and enjoy the sun in the day. Peace.
Woo! All right. Well, that kicked off well. Are you guys still with me? All right, we're going to keep on pushing. So through Shawnee's work, we can see that we can become advocates, right? Not just for maternal health, but for stillbirth awareness as well. Our children need us to stand and push forward for them. So up next, we have Marny Smith, Heath's mother, co-director of Medical Advancement and Innovation. She will be reading a powerful poem by Amanda Gorman titled Fury and Faith. With 27% of black families experiencing stillbirth, we at PUSH stand in solidarity against systemic racism and injustice, which leads to the deaths of black mothers and black babies. Ladies and gentlemen, Marny Smith.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here. You will be told that this is not a problem, not your problem. You will be told that now is not the time for change to begin, told that we cannot win. But the point of protest isn't winning. It's holding fast to the promise of freedom, even when fast victory is not promised. Meaning, we cannot stand up to police if we cannot cease policing our own imagination, convincing our communities this won't work before the work has even begun, that this can wait when we've already waited out 1,000 suns. By now we understand white supremacy and the despair it demands are as destructive as any disease. So when you're told that your rage is reactionary, remember that rage is our right. It teaches us it is time to fight in the name of injustice. Not only is anger natural, but necessary, because it helps carry us to our destination. Our goal has never been revenge, just restoration, not dominance, just dignity, not fear, just freedom, just justice. Whether we prevail is determined not by all the changes that are present, but by all the change that is possible. And though we are unstoppable, if we ever feel like we might fail, if we be fatigued and frail, when our fire can no longer be fueled by fury, we will be fortified by this faith, found in the vow, the anthem, Black Lives Matter. Black lives are worth defending, worth living, worth every struggle. We must stand up for all of us and our aims, united through protest and pain, amplifying women, the LGBTQ community, and people with disabilities. Because none of us are free until all of us break our chains. We owe it to the fallen to fight, but we owe it to ourselves to never stay kneeling when the day calls us to stand together. We envision a land that is liberated, not lawless. We create a future that is free, not flawless. Over and over again and again, we will stride up every mountainside, magnanimous and modest. We will be protected and served by a force that is honored and honest. This is more than protest. It's a promise.
Thank you, Marny, for that lovely, lovely, powerful poem. Up next, I have the honor of introducing three doctors. We are proud to have them armed with us, hand in hand, and they are passionate about reducing stillbirth rates across the country. I'm going to introduce the first two, and then I will introduce the third after the two speak. Oops, hold on. Dr. Harvey Kliman, Yale University, is a leading expert on all things placenta. And I know that many of you have seen him on our lives, on Clubhouse. He's awesome. And also with him will be Dr. Heather Florescue. She was the very first doctor in the United States to independently implement the UK Saving Babies' Lives Care Bundle Stillbirth Prevention Protocols, and she started that in 2019. So welcome, Dr. Harvey Kliman and Dr. Heather Florescue.
First, my deepest condolences to anyone who suffers the pain of a pregnancy or neonatal loss. After examining tens of thousands of placentas as part of my research and clinical work at Yale University, I can say to the thousands of families I have helped, it was not your fault. It was not your fault. Please remember that. For those of you who don't know why you had a loss, you deserve to know why your loss happened. If you were told, these things just happen, or we don't know why this happened, or don't worry about it, just try again, I am here to empower you to demand that your doctor finds out why you lost your baby. If your doctor can't answer this question, ask your doctor to talk to the pathologist who looked at your baby's placenta to explain why you lost your baby. If the pathologist who looked at your baby's placenta can't explain why you lost your baby, write a letter to the CEO of the hospital where you delivered your baby demanding that the hospital figure out how to help you and other families like you. Being told we don't know is unacceptable. This is why it is so important to support Debbie Haynes' Stillbirth Health Improvement and Education Shine for Autumn Act, because this act will help create a generation of pathologists who are able to figure out what caused a stillbirth. Everyone who suffers the pain of a pregnancy or neonatal loss deserves to understand why this happened in the hopes of preventing it from happening again. Speaking of making sure loss doesn't happen, it is my great pleasure to introduce to you my friend and colleague, Dr. Heather Florescue, an obstetrician who is committed to preventing stillbirths for all patients. Dr. Florescue.
Hi, everybody. So honored to be here today. As he said, I'm Dr. Heather Florescue. Why am I here today? I am here because as a third-year med student 20 years ago, I heard for the first time the sound that a pregnant person makes when they realize that their baby has died inside of them. This horrible, grief-stricken wail that you can hear from 20 feet away. And it got into my soul and my heart and my skin and my teeth, and it's never, ever left. I'm also here because when we told that news to the patient and asked them, when did you last feel your baby move? They almost seemed surprised by the question and said, I don't know, maybe 2 days, maybe 3 days, maybe 4. In fact, they presented for things other than fetal movement concerns, like a headache or their water broke or they thought they were in labor. Why is that happening? Because we're afraid to educate our patients about fetal movement because we think that we're going to cause them undue anxiety and stress because, stillbirth is so rare, right? But to show you there's no truth to this argument, I need you all to participate with me. Raise your hand if while you're pregnant, you were told to avoid cold cuts or heat them up, wash fruits and vegetables very carefully, and to avoid unpasteurized milks and cheeses to help reduce the risk of getting listeriosis. Raise your hands. Raise your hands if while you were pregnant, you were told to not change the litter boxes for your cats to help avoid toxoplasmosis. Now raise your hands if you were told while you're pregnant that you should call if you're worried about your baby's movements because your baby may be at risk for stillbirth. I don't know if all of you can see this, but nobody out there is raising their hands. And I said the reason why we don't talk about this is fear. Fear of causing anxiety. But each year, 1,000 babies die of stillbirth compared to listeriosis, and 70 times as many due to toxoplasmosis. So we're scaring about the cold cuts and the cats. So we need to talk about this. The other reason we're not talking about this is the fatalistic idea that we cannot prevent stillbirth, so why should we talk about it? But the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists printed an article 4 years ago that showed that up to 47% of stillbirths can be prevented and 25% of preterm. And we are doing nothing from the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists all the way down to do this. The time is now. We've been using in my practice the UK protocol for 3 years, and it's done nothing but improve care. All of my patients are educated. We talk about the myths, and we make sure they call us when they're worried. And when we do, we bring them in, we evaluate, and most importantly, we ask them, are you reassured? Now, 99% will be, but those that aren't, they have 23 times the risk of stillbirth compared to others, and we try to deliver them. But I can't deliver them between 37 weeks and 38 weeks and 6 days because their concern is not as important as 2 blood pressures, 140 and or 90 or higher, 4 hours apart. The time is now. We need to listen to our patients and allow that concern that their baby is going to die inside them to matter more than just 1 or 2 elevated blood pressures. And that is why I'm here today.
These are the kind of OBs we need by our sides, right? These are the kind of advocates we need by our side. I'm going to introduce our third doctor, Dr. Joanne Stone. She is president of SMFM, head of Mount Sinai OBGYN, and the NYC Rainbow Clinic founder, Dr. Joanne Stone.
Well, these are pretty hard acts to follow, but thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be part of this community who has come together to commemorate Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day and to support Push for Empowered Pregnancies efforts to reduce stillbirths in the United States and beyond. It is so essential to recognize our lost children, but also to emphasize what we need to do personally as a healthcare professional, but also as lost parents and advocates to prevent the preventable losses that unfortunately occur way too often. Every patient I see has a different story, but unfortunately share the same outcome of loss and grieving. It is essential that we spend the time with our patients to understand what happened, review the records, as Dr. Kliman said, review the placental pathology, and arrive at an understanding of what happened. And always, as mentioned before, always let our patients know that it was never their fault and acknowledge their lost child. I am so grateful for Samantha, Fernanda, Marny, and all the folks at PUSH for Empowered Pregnancy for starting the first Rainbow Clinic in the United States. Their support and educational materials and constant feedback have been crucial in the way that we provide care for our patients. In less than 6 months, I have seen over 60 patients, and we delivered our first rainbow baby a few weeks ago, and we have many more to come. We are seeing patients not only from the New York tri-state area, but patients from California, and you'll hear patients from Puerto Rico just recently, as of last week. We continue to learn and to grow, and I feel so privileged to be part of this movement to prevent the preventable. Thank you so much for all your support and advocacy.
We are so blessed to have these 3 doctors as our allies in this struggle against this silent pandemic called stillbirth. Our next speaker is one of our amazing sponsors. She is the executive director of March of Moms, a nonprofit that advocates for the best possible health and well-being of all birthing partners. I want to introduce Laneceya.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Laneceya Russ, and I'm the Executive Director of March for Moms, a nonprofit that aligns the diverse voices of families, healthcare providers, policymakers, and partners to advocate for mothers and families' well-being and equal access to care. I am grateful to be here with you all to raise awareness and to demand support for this critical issue. On today and every day, I push for my loved one, baby Navy Sky Johnson, and the other 23,500 babies who are born still each year in our country. Today, I want to speak to you all about the link between maternal mortality and infant mortality. Historically, these 2 tragedies that families experience have operated in silos, but many organizations have worked to bridge this gap, like PUSH and March for Moms, and work alongside one another to advocate for change for families. Maternal and infant mortality rates in the U.S. are far higher than those in similarly wealthy countries, and people of color are at increased risk for poor maternal and infant health outcomes. Infants born to women of color are at a higher risk for mortality compared to those born to white women. Data also show that stillbirths are more common among Black women compared to white and Hispanic women. These unacceptable statistics are on the rise in our country because of poor access to health care, racism, discrimination, and disrespect, lack of integrated care models that address medical, behavioral, and social needs comprehensively, misaligned incentives for health systems with maternal health outcomes. All of the reasons I just discussed drive disparities in maternal and infant mortality. Additionally, we must also discuss the underinvestment in health and wellness programs for moms and babies, which also contribute to these alarming trends in maternal and infant health. For true change to be made and families to be able to grow with dignity, we need to do the following. Improve access to care and services by strengthening existing health programs and support reproductive health care. Screen and treat women at risk for preterm birth. Eliminate maternity care deserts, and offer Black and brown women tools to navigate the healthcare system. We must also improve the quality of care being provided to pregnant women by training providers to address implicit bias and racism, building a more diverse perinatal healthcare workforce that can provide culturally congruent care, and adopting new models of care, such as the midwifery model of care that is proven to have positive maternal health outcomes and link payment to quality of care being provided. We also need to address maternal mental health by identifying barriers to accessing maternal mental health services, and enhance supports for families during pregnancy and postpartum by investing in programs that support families' basic needs, such as housing, food, and economic stability, investing in community-based organizations and programs that are on the ground each day, serving moms, birthing people, and families, and simplifying the enrollment process for public benefit programs. We also need to improve data collection and oversight, such as mandating and funding fetal and infant mortality review committees. While this list of recommendations is not all-encompassing, they will drastically improve maternal and infant health outcomes in the United States. The light that keeps us going is the collective effort of advocating for real solutions to help prevent maternal and infant mortality. Our end goal is to keep families from enduring the tragedy of losing moms or the birthing person and the baby. Together, we can demand that our elected officials make maternal and infant health a priority. We can vote for elected officials that are champions for maternal and infant health in just a couple of weeks for midterm elections. We can advocate and support legislation that call for proven solutions to save moms and babies in our country, such as the Shine for Autumn Act and the Maternal and Child Health Stillbirth Prevention Act of 2022, as well as the legislation package, the Black Maternal Health Omnibus. We will continue to show up and be a voice for those who are no longer here with us, and we will not stop until moms and babies are surviving and thriving together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laneceya. And right now we have a treat for you all. If you were here prior to us starting, you might have heard an artist singing. I'm about to introduce Dixie Danielle, who is a musician from Western Oklahoma. She is a proud mother to Christopher. She will be sharing a song, and Annie will be reading a poem titled The Lilt.
Just a little bit about this. I wrote this poem in 2020 after Dixie, her first son was stillborn, Christopher. And I wrote this song, or this poem for her. Sorrow deserves a dance too. 1 step forward, 3 steps back. What can you do? Lilt and spin and stay on the floor. Just a little while, just 1 song more. A whole year learning what's going right. Only love and hope keeping you up at night. A whole year getting ready for the next. You did everything. You did your best. How did you get there? White rooms full of people saying things you can't bear. People you barely know, explaining curses, soft and slow. Oh, my love, welcome to this empty space. Oh, my love, if nothing's all right, then you're in the right place. Sorrow deserves a dance too. 1 step forward, 3 steps back. What can you do?
doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But we could have held him a little longer. They say everything happens for a reason, but I think we're just in a bad season, and we're gonna make it through, 'cause I'm gonna lean on you, and you can lean on me too. Remember the night of his death. We never thought he would put us through this. In one moment, our whole world fell and crashed down at our feet with 3 little words: there's no heartbeat. Now we're here. Never thought we could get through this. Memories of disaster, but dreams still in our head. We'll keep finding the light even in our darkest moments. They say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But we could have held him a little longer. They say everything happens for a reason, but I think we're just in a bad season. We're gonna make it through, 'cause I'm gonna lean on you. They say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. We all could have held them a little longer. They say everything happens for a reason, and I think we're just in a bad season, and we're gonna make it through, 'cause I'm gonna lean on you, and you can lean on me too. Thank you so much.
What a beautiful, beautiful song. Thank you, Dixie. It was very, very beautiful. So, when it comes to stillbirth, we typically hear a mother's experience, right? But it also affects fathers and other partners. Today, we're going to hear from a New York father, Christian Ortiz, who was father of Valentina. He is advocating for dads in the stillbirth community who refuse to be silent about the epidemic that is stillbirth. Christian Ortiz.
Thank you for inviting me to speak today. When I saw my daughter, Valentina, for the first and only time, she was already purple. I have pictures of her, but I have not had the courage to look at them. Yet, I will eventually. for now and for always, I want to remember my baby as that vibrant, active little girl, kicking and punching through Crystal's belly for 37 weeks. We learned shortly after we arrived to the hospital on December 7th, 2021, after 3 semesters of being told we had a healthy baby, that there was no heartbeat, and that Valentina had been deceased for at least a couple of days. We requested an emergency C-section due to the trauma Crystal was experiencing. The doctor refused. Instead, to add insult to injury, Crystal had to spend a night with our knowingly dead daughter in her belly before they induced labor the following afternoon. Within minutes of delivery, the doctor told us the cause of death was strangulation by umbilical cord. And that is the official record for now. Raise your hand if the umbilical cord askew sounds familiar. It's pretty common. The hospital offered us no social services, no aftercare. And in our darkest hour, Crystal and I were left to fend for ourselves. It didn't add up. Valentina was a full-term baby. She was born at only 3.7 pounds. So I confronted the doctor a few days later, the grieving father that I was, and she stuck to her story. Strangulation by umbilical cord. But the weight, I asked. She was so underdeveloped for a full-term baby. How could that come to pass? She gave me possibilities. Something out of a comic book or a sci-fi movie. I called bullshit. And I'd ordered an independent autopsy report since the hospital refused to provide one. We then sent all of Crystal medical records to 3 independent obstetric specialists to gain answers and hopefully closure. That's how fathers get down. Each report from each independent source all contradicted the doctor's cause of death. Valentina did not die by strangulation of umbilical cord. She died another way. And that way was 100% preventable. Not my words, theirs. Dr. Diaz, I will hold you accountable through due process. This is not a threat. It's a promise. That's how fathers get down. In closing, I want to address Governor Hochul and Mayor Adams from the great city and state of New York. I am a constituent. Governor, I will vote you into office in November. But New York City being in the top 1/3 of stillbirths against the national average, and the state revoking my paid family leave and child tax credit is wrong. And the system is broken. Crystal gave birth vaginally. The toll it took on her body and the impact it had on my family was dire. By law, I was given 3 days to grieve before I had to go back to the office. In my despair, I had to navigate not only the biology of grief, but also my sick and vacation days. So I did not lose my job on top of losing my baby. The model is broken, Governor. Please fix it. I speak for all fathers when I say we are counting on you. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian, for a very raw and authentic show of a father's perspective on stillbirth. At this time, we want to introduce Debbie Hain Vijay Vergia. She is a staunch stillbirth advocate, working to bring stillbirth out of the shadows. She has been working tirelessly for the past 10 years to bring the Shine for Autumn Act to the Congress floor in honor of her daughter, Autumn. We're going to hear from her via video.
Hey guys, it's Deb with the Shine for Autumn Act. I am so sorry that I cannot be there in person, but I am there in spirit. But more importantly, thank you for showing up and for shining as bright as you are for all of our babies and for supporting this monumental Big Push event, which is so exciting. I'm so sad not to be there, but thank you for being there, and thank you just for being as awesome as you are. And I can safely say that because, well, you guys, because of you, we've added 12 new bipartisan co-sponsors in 3 months. And because of you, we've had over 1,600 letters sent to Senate offices throughout the country. And because of you, we have people finally talking about stillbirth and talking about the Shine for Autumn Act. So honestly, I can't thank you enough. The reality is, though, we have to keep moving. We have to kick things into high gear. We cannot slow down. Why? Because there are 4 legislative weeks left in this Congress. And so Congress will be back in session on November 14th. So we have only a few weeks, honestly, to really, as I had said, kick things into high gear. And what that looks like is, for those of you who have been on constituent calls, and there are many of you, and thank you again, if your senator has not signed on yet, and you can check that online, or you can ask me, or on Instagram, we have an updated list of co-sponsors. If yours has not, please reach out to the health staffer and touch base on the co-sponsorship request that we have made. And you can honestly do that once a week. As a constituent, you have a much better chance of getting them to act than I will, which is the whole reason for the calls. So please do follow back up and let me know how that goes. And if you have any questions, you can reach out. And the next thing that has been really super impactful really has been Tweet Week over the past week. Thank you to everyone who has participated. I know, thanks to the fabulous Anna Vick, we've been able to put a description and instructions on how to preload your tweets, which definitely makes it easier for everyone. So thank you, Anna. We have added some additional new curated tweets to our bio on Instagram. So please check that out. And obviously, always feel free to personalize it with a photo. And then all I would ask is repeat, do it again. Tweet every day, follow up once a week, and keep following us on Instagram. And if there's anything else that comes up, but right now, those are the 2 action items that I have for you. And, you know, my hope is that by working together, we can actually see this bill get passed and finally shine a light on this tragic maternal health issue that has been neglected for far too long for all of our babies. Thank you.
We ask that you please support Debbie and the Shine for Autumn Act in any way that you can. It's through this act passing that we will get the data that we need, right, to really understand why our babies are dying. Why is stillbirth so high? Our next speakers are ambassadors of Count the Kicks. And Count the Kicks is committed to making kick counting a common practice for all parents. They have armed hand in hand with Still Counts and Healthy Birth Act to ensure that parents are aware of their baby's patterns, right? So that we can prevent the stillbirths that are happening. Healthy Birth Day is one of the nation's leading stillbirth prevention organizations. They are committed to improving health equity and birth outcomes throughout programming, awareness, and advocacy. Health equity is at the center of their work with a goal to eliminate racial disparities that persist in birth outcomes. Both organizations are pivotal in supporting birth partners, ensuring and bringing their babies home. Here to share a few words with us are two Count the Kicks ambassadors, Amanda Duffy, Reese's mom, and Heather Johnston Welliver, Liddy's mom.
My name is Amanda Duffy.
And I'm Heather Johnston Welliver. We both serve as ambassadors for Count the Kicks, a stillbirth prevention campaign that teaches expectant parents and medical professionals how to monitor fetal movement. We became friends almost 8 years ago after both our daughters were suddenly and unexpectedly stillborn. Reese and Liddy would both be turning 8 next month. Beside us, we have Reese's older brother, Rogan, and Liddy's older brother, Ben. 8 years ago, we didn't know stillbirth was a risk factor of normal, low-risk pregnancies like ours. And now we live in its wake every single minute of every single day. When Reese and Liddy were stillborn, we did not feel encouraged to speak about their lives or their deaths. Stillbirth lurked in the shadows, filled with shame and stigma. But if stillbirth can happen to us and our daughters, it can happen to anyone.
This bill recognizes that stillbirth and the disparity in those impacted by stillbirth requires further research, support, and prevention programming. It's time to empower pregnant people and their care providers with information that leads to prevention. It's time to recognize that our daughters and the 23,000 plus babies stillborn every year existed and they matter. This bill recognizes prevention efforts. It calls for evidence-based programming and activities and outcomes research to reduce the incident of stillbirth. This includes tracking fetal movements, a simple and effective way to prevent stillbirth and one that neither of us were educated on. I even voiced my concerns about Reese's movements and was told that it was fine, that babies slow down before birth. She died 1 day before her scheduled delivery. Much of this information shared about OB care in this nation is outdated, and that's because funding for stillbirth research is lacking.
It's time to do better for Reese and for Liddy and for every other baby who should be here, growing up alongside their brothers and their sisters. It's time to bring stillbirth out of the shadows, to give it the funding and the research it deserves. It's time to stop saying sometimes these things just happen. We encourage all of you to call on your members of Congress and to get the Maternal and Child Health Stillbirth Prevention Act of 2022 passed before the end of the year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Heather and Amanda, for your advocacy at Count the Kicks. Our next speakers are Anna Vick, co-director of communication, mother of Owen. Some of you may have seen her on TikTok, and she leads Clubhouse, and she's on Instagram doing her thing. She also has a podcast called Sacred Birth Circle, and many of you have connected with her through push efforts, her efforts with Push. Aaliyah Felker is a co-lead of legislation and mother of Hank, and many of you have connected with her, like Anna, through social media platforms. I welcome Anna and Aaliyah.
Hello, everyone. I'm Aaliyah Felker. We are all here because we have by the silence of stillbirth. The silence in the delivery room where we were told, where we hopelessly wished for newborn screams. The following silent nights when we should have been awoken by hungry cries. And the silence from society as we are told to grieve in private. We are all here to end that silence and to end the silent epidemic of preventable stillbirth. On July 1st, 2020, I learned the devastating news that Henry Justice Felker, Hank, had died in my womb. I learned that we had joined over 23,000 families whose babies were stillborn that year. Would I be here if this tragedy was not shrouded in silence? If this taboo trauma was spoken loudly instead of whispered in private? If I knew that 65 babies are stillborn every single day in this country? And if I knew that my healthy, normal pregnancy for myself as a 28-year-old woman could end in death? If I had been empowered with the knowledge that I could monitor my child's movements and empowered with the tools to advocate for myself and my baby, if my providers had been educated on the prevalence and prevention of fetal death, if my pregnancy had adhered to a standard of care with prevention as a focus, if I had gone to a qualified perinatal ultrasound clinic and not been sent home, would I have a 2-year-old son? I believe I would. As haunting as these questions are, they do give me hope, because the answers to these questions are simple. Simply educating and empowering parents and providers will save babies' lives. Simply educating and empowering parents will save us from immeasurable suffering. These strategies are simple, but they do take work. And that is why we are here today, to demand change, to demand a national sense of urgency to prevent stillbirth, to demand that our federal government pass stillbirth prevention legislation and create an action plan to address this tragedy. We demand better and more consistent care for all pregnant people across the U.S. We are here to end the silence that shrouded our lives the day we were told, "I'm sorry, there is no heartbeat."
Thank you, Allie. And Hank still counts. All your babies still count. Growing up, I believed the lie that if I was a good girl, I did the right things, everything would go well for me. I listened to the authority figures. In this case, it was a doctor in a white lab coat who told me that they knew better than me, that they knew my baby and my body better than I did. Something was wrong, but I didn't get informed about stillbirth until it happened to my family. And now we're forever missing our middle son, Owen, who's represented by this bear, who is his length and his weight. So you can see he was almost full term. I had to deliver him, and I had to bury him. We have to stop teaching young girls to be good and instead support them in knowing that their thoughts and feelings are valid and must be heard. My daughter Naomi is here with me today. I've raised her to know she has a voice and she's not afraid to use it, even on me, and that's okay. Her littlest brother Jackson is home with her, with my husband, my rock, Joshua. And we all have been devastated by this crisis. It is a family crisis. It is not just a maternal health crisis. When I awoke from a crashed C-section after going into the ER concerned about my son's movements, to a dark room where I was told my son had died, I let out a guttural scream. It didn't sound like anything that ever come out of my body. Ever since then, I've been on a mission to break the silence and fight to prevent anyone else from losing a baby in this way. I was blindsided by stillbirth after what I was reassured was a perfect textbook pregnancy. If you lost a child, I'm so sorry, and I know how you're feeling. It may seem like nothing matters. What's the point from fighting now? We cannot save our babies. But your baby matters. Their life matters. And to make others aware of what we aren't is a way to continue their legacy. We are pushing for better care so that others don't have to walk behind us. By demanding change, this is our way of loving our children aloud. We are saying no to those who think 23,000 babies a year is acceptable. Not one more. That one was my son. Owen didn't just die. There were cord compressions that occurred for several days before his life was ultimately taken from us. There may have been time for prevention had my OB listened to all of my concerns, educated me on proper fetal movement monitoring, or suggested downloading the Count the Kicks app. How easy is that? And the hospital acted more urgently when I walked in the ER instead of checking me in first and telling me everything was going to be just fine. It wasn't. My baby was dying as I was there in their care. They let him die. If you haven't lost a child and you're here standing beside someone who has lost a baby, turn to them now and tell them you are not alone. This is everyone's battle because it's the future of all families that we are fighting for. We need this change desperately now. Let's march with more than just hope for the future, because hope is a beggar, and we're here to demand change. We want it now. We have the ways to do it. We can leap with faith into action, knowing that we will save babies, and every baby #still counts. Your baby still counts. My baby still counts. It's your turn to join us. Call, tweet, and meet with your senators. Ask them to support the Shine for Autumn Act and the Stillbirth Prevention Act now, not next year, not 23,000 babies later. No more. You don't have to take a big step. Let's just start walking in the right direction. Our babies were tragically born still, and on behalf of them, we're here to get very loud. All our babies matter. Say it with me. My baby still counts. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna and Allie. Just to put things in perspective, I didn't really introduce myself in the beginning. My name is Marjorie Vail, and I'm co-director of awareness for Push for Empowered Pregnancy. And our son, Laneceya, died 18 years ago in September. 18 years, and here we are having our first stillbirth march, right? 18 years, and nothing has really changed. So it is time. Enough is enough, right? Enough is enough. So we wouldn't be here hosting the largest stillbirth advocacy and awareness campaign without the unification of our coalition and our sponsors and each and every one of you here who refuses to keep our children's names in the shadow. We have to say their name. We have to say their name. We have to say their name. And we're going to say their name until our last breath. We don't care if it makes people uncomfortable. We will say their names. For those who can march with us, we will begin in a few minutes with our executive director, Sam, Alana's mom, and their family leading the way. And for those who cannot march, we will be here proudly reading your children's name. We will be saying their name. All right? So, Sam, I don't know if everyone, she's on my right, your left. So she will be leading the march, and you guys can follow her as we stand and demand change. Are you guys ready to go? I don't know. You guys ready to go? All right. Let's do this. Sam is already there in the corner. You guys can follow her. Let's begin. Let's tell the world we've had enough. We want change.
for the founding babies: Aaliyah Denise Briscoe, Alana Marie Banerjee, Alexei London Romanovich Vail, ARIAH Vasquez, Caleb Marcus Lenz, Charlotte Feldberg, Eli Parker Levitt, Elijah David O'Neill, George Sheardon, Heath Smith Frederick, Luke Wyatt Moxley, Marion Sedna Wallace Levitas, Naomi Irene Forer, Natalie Grace Sheardon, Oliver Colin Hughes, Owen Nathaniel Vick, Sophie Grace and Ruby Adele Day,
TJ Wise,
Abigail Junebug Rose Berlanga, Adam Davenport, Adam McLean Mayhew, Adele Nicole, Adeline Elizabeth Starr, Stare, Adeline Caroline Jackson, Adrian Wells Bourget, Agatha Samara de Luna, Aiden Conquest, Ainsley Sharp, Alana Rose Whitmore, Alana Davna Hamza Begavork, Alea Renee Garcia, Alessandro Bedoya, Alessandro R. Ramirez, Alexander Chahain, Alexandra Zoe Fernandez, Alfie Vaccaro, Alice Goss, Alice Huntington Blair, Allison Sue, Aman Patel Notani, Amelian Otto, Amelia Claire Barrientos, Amelia Rose Patterson, Amina Francois, Amir Don, Amia Mitchell, Andrew Michael Livingston, Andrew Sloan, Angel Carter Mejia,
Angel Rose Raglan, Angelo, Anika, Anne and Sophia Topalovic, Anna Elise Mason, Annabella Lynn Hagenmeyer, Annika Smudge Fishkeef, Anthony Charles Gill, Anthony D. Younger, Anthony Valletta, Ari Ruben Babet, Asher Drew Mazzo, Asher Ray Lead, Atlas Edward Tubach, Aubrey, Aubriana Diane Witt, August Whitmore, Aurora Tilia Forrest Dozier, Austin Hines, Austin Parker Devanzo, Autumn Joy Vija Verja, Autumn Ray Ward, Autumn Roselle, Ava James, Avery, Avery and Everett Whitlow, Avery Dawn Long, Avery Ellis Woods, Avery Nak Noon, Axel Rodriguez, Ali Ryan Alvarez, Azalea Lucia Torres, Azula de la Fuente, Baby Balfe, Baby Batonili, Baby Beat Kessler, Baby Boy Nassen, Baby Boy Shilson, Baby Burchell, Baby D'Angelo, Baby Gilmore, Baby James Edward Lutz, Baby Lily Tate, Baby M, Baby Mohabir, Baby Moody, Baby Wattenbarger, Bam Bam, Boston Parter Cohen, Bo Lennox Moore,
Belinda Maria Garcia Aguilar, Bella Camisa, Bea River Disney, Bellamy Thilgis, Benjamin, Benjamin Fletcher, Benjamin Parker, Bennett Matthew Witt, Benton Jean Carpenter, Blair Evelyn Kennedy, Blake James Keslowitz, Bodie Trace Gannon, Braden Bam Bam, Braden Anthony Morello, Braden Armand, Braden William, Braylon Comey, Brecken Eldon, Brannon Joseph Krug, Bryden Wyatt Gray Saul, Brody K. McClenny, Brooks Nathaniel, Bryce Nicholson, Bryn Frazier, Bryson Walker Scott, CJ Size, Caden Pence Foley, Caleb Benedict Carr, Callie Lillian Smith, Caleb Martin Phillips, Cameron John, Carolyn Clara Piola, Carson Jack Ramage, Carter Brian Stair, Carter Conquest, Cassidy Ann Thomas, Catalina Isabel Villanueva, Seti Nicholas Santa Lucia, Celeste Elaine Huizar, Charles Leonard Lafleur, Charles Walter Barcelona, Charlie Hamilton Stevenot, Charlie Jack Streibel, Charlotte Elizabeth Carnahan, Cherry Converse, Chloe, Chloe Daniel and Zoe Grace Watts, Chloe Julia, Christy Marie Kelly, Christina Belinda Garcia Aguilar,
Christopher John Masood, Syrian Rea, Clara Louise Heilger, Clementine Snow, Golibri Garcia, Colin Robert, Colton James Oyster, Cooper Allen Dunhap, Cooper Anthony Kuczynski, Cooper James Wilkerson, Cooper John Chappell, Cornelia Francis Reiser, Cruz Robert Cutler, Dakota Wilson, Dakota Marie Coleman, Danny, Daphne Hollins, David Patain, Dax Shaughnessy, Declan Waslewski, Declan Wayne, Demara Dunia, Patapo Howard, Deanna Beatrix, Diana Hope Sabatino, DJ Anderson, Dominic James Tayek, Donovan Lau Aziz, Dylan Vietz, Edith Abbey, Edith Spencer Matcher, Edward Gage Wattenberger, Eleanor Ann, Eleanor Betty, Eli Bryce Macaulay, Elian Gael, Elijah James, Elijah Thomas Hill, Alikim Atache, Elise Ann Bush, Eliza Simon Williams, Eliza Taylor Duckworth, Elizabeth Brooke Greiser, Elizabeth Tinsley Gardner, Elizabeth San, Ella Hannah, Ella Hines, Ella Louise Dine, Dehine, Ella Star Kotz, Elliot Gray Crump,
Ellie May Ann DeWolf, Ellis Darby Collins, Ellis Joel, Elodie Haru Ansari, Eloise Annabella Ramos, Alora Sylvia May, Emery Kirpa Singh, Amelia Rose Carnucci, Emma Samantha Hopp, Emmett and Eamon Haney, Emmett Michael Matthew Collins, Emmy, Estelle Elizabeth Bradshaw, Ethan Nestor St. Jor, Ethan Thompson, Ethan Zachary Chen, Ava Gernot, Evangeline Ray Burchell, Evelyn Margaret Rowe, Everett Boone Tucker, Everly Ayers Hoffman, Evie Knott, Ezekiel Noah Katz, Ezra Wild Kovach, Faith Allen Hudson, Faustina Maria Riddell, Faye Nicole Hack, Finn Wilder Schofstall, Fletcher Atlas Kovac, Forrest Brandt, Fox Allen Jagger, Francesca, Freya Emerson, Gabriel Ian Smith, Gabriel Michael Koskren, Gabriel Nason, Garland Freyer, Gemma Bella Ramey Rubini, Gianna Bagley, Gianni Onyx Alcantara, Giovanni Joseph, Gracelyn Fravel, Grayson Stone Dean, Greta Ray Reynolds Nielsen, Grayson Michael Sargent, Grayson Ryder Crockwell, Hadley Gray Shade, Hannah Ann Healy, Hannah Louise Hamilton, Harlow Grace Deschamps,
Harriet Ann Reynolds Nielsen, Harvey Alexander DeWitt, Hayden J. Hartley Sedona, Helen Louise Hensley, Henry Hank Felker, Henry Galt, Henry Owen Bastian, Henry Xavier Barr, Hilary Tyre, Holiday Francis Villalong, Hope Robin Maddox, Hudson Daniel Gerhardt, Hugo Hill Koch, Ireland Ray Hull, Isaac Liams, Isabel Fonderson, Isadora Claire and Walker Lee, Isolde, Isla Rose LeBlanc, Isaac, Ivor Winslow, Jace Alexander Isaac, Jace William Jones, Jack Ryan Hooten, Jackson Owen, Jackson Robert Brown, Jackson Sparroft, Jackson Wilder Mara, Jade Alessandra Serzin, Jake Wycliffe, James Jimmy Peanut, James John Castrovins, James Robert Naclario, Jameson Alexander Price, Jameson Hugh, Jane Elizabeth Donahue, Javier Gutierrez Alvarado, Jax Edward, Jellybean Foster, Jennifer Moriarty Jacoby, Jensen Arnold Mullins Althusser, Jeremy and Liam Son, Jessica, Jet Knight, Joanna Lee Sacco, Joaquin Daniel Garcia Aguilar, John Matthew Ferrigigi, John Richard Sabolik V, Jonah Anthony McKennis,
Josephine Marie Harrington, Josiah David Witt, Jordan Arthur, Journey Jewel Clagett, Jude Sita, Juliette Elise Hansen, June Alice Jones, June Whitmore, Juniper Ann Beltman, Kainoa Mark Watson, Kaya Grace Lim, Kaloni Amor, Kamari Keon, Kane Fram Lazaro, Kareem Fatou, Case Thomas Brand, Kate Lamberton, Catherine, Kayla Broussard, Kellen Andrew Hack, Kennedy Milan Wilson, Kira May Caulfield, Lainey Mitchell, Landon James Weimer, Lane Matthew, Lasan Jarrell Tykesa Smith, Layla Amala, Laylee Joy Turner, Lee Fletcher, Levin Faisal Abdi, Leilani Rose Martinez, Leo Joseph Fazarakas, Leo Lucian Gomez Manley, Leah Jolene Federico, Liam Surico, Leela Nicholson, Leela Jean Keller, Lillian Gertrude Goiner, Lilith Nixt Turner, Lily Fake, Lily May, Lily Market, Lily Tate, Lillian Auden Ambrose, Logan Conrad Henson, Logan Jace Citron, London Dixon, Luca Anthony Rose, Luca Avalos, Lucas Cole Laura, Lucas Henry Small,
Lucia Restrepo, Lucy Claire Gentry, Lucy Hamilton, Lucy Loga, Luke Alfredo Williamson, Luke Christopher Villa, Luke Wantumby, Luke Williamson, Luke Julia and Isla Ray, Luna Claire Alyon, Luna Seraphine Gargiano, Luther Atlas Nugent, Lydia Welliver, McKenna Marie, Mackenzie May Dresser, Mackenzie Schooley, Madeline Elizabeth Lucas, Maddox Jerome McKnight, Madeline Elizabeth Webster, Madeline Grace Schuler, Madison, Madison Grace Jones, Madison Montgomery Franklin, Madison Yen Gupta, Maeve Adelaide Breeden, Maeve Lee Prizozzi, Maggie Sammy Levitt, Maggie Sophia Cornetti, Magnolia Joe Dido, Malak Akfar Ahmed, Marlo Nicholson, Mary Francis LaCroix. Mason Cordova. Mason Miller. Matthew Aaron Jones. Maverick Kenneth. Max Wim Randolph Spitzer. Maximo Leonardo Colonel. Maxine Emma Rose Walker Stern. Max Weinstein. Maya Dylan Schuyler. Megan Ormond. Melvin Donald Harvey. Merritt May Corkill. Mia Grace Pimpnella. Michaela Jane. Milo James.
Mimi's, Molly, Ayla, and ARIAH, and Nathan. Nathan Christopher Mias. Nathaniel Orion. Navi Sky Johnson. Nev Washington. Neville Nicholas Lohiline. Nico McGilbury Bata. Nico N. Reyes. Nino Elan Nunez Naparsek. Noah Gray Talley. Noah John Hannon. Noelani Janelle Walker. Noemi. Nolan Shane Vickers. Nona Ray Estrada. Nora Claire Knight. Oakley May. October Grove. Olive Rosalie French. Oliver Allen Weber. Oliver Archer Buck. Oliver James McLeod Cobb. Oliver Palmer. Oliver Thomas Walsh. Oliver Wellahan Courtney. Olivia Grace Perron. Bakhta. Ophelia Baclian Newbold. Ophelia Lennox. Pablo Sowers. Parker James. Patrick Lloyd Meek. Patrick Nicholas Heslin. Pia Patchen Nursini. Kasem Adam Abraham. Quinn Diane Busa. Reagan Elizabeth Burrell. Ray Larry Cox. Raymond Delfino O'Hare. Rain. Reese Christine Duffy. Remy May Warner. Remy Moon Hoff. Roan Osborne Bailey. Ryan Ava Dimberg. Riss Dalton. Riss William. Richard Allen Massinelli.
Richard Christopher Carpin. River Hendricks Horn. Robert Dean. Rosalia R. Rowan Iris Drake. Rowan May Minaya. Rowan Thomas Moore. Rurari Gallinger. Ruby Rose Codens Labu. Ruby Williams. Ruthie May Unkovic. Sadie Amelia Rager. Sage Lapierre Valcourt. Saib Anna Moron. Samantha Eileen Hooten. Samuel Joseph Wick. Samuel Levi Brooks. Sarah Jane Moore. Savannah Grace Krisneck. Sailor Rain. Skylar Scott Meyer. Skyla Virginia Hillard. Sean Jr. Sergio Jill Lovinsky. Simon Heinzliger. Sincere Malik Streams. Skylar Jean Armes. Sonun Leila Ditakavi. Sophia Evelyn Gregg. Spencer James Thompson. Stacy and Grace Saucillo. Stella Joy Norsini. Sullivan James Sharp. Sullivan Rice. Summer Taylor Listerman. Sweet Babe Dalton. Sydney Taylor. Sylvia Drew Mulry. Tatum Faith. Tayden Joseph Higgins. Thea Francis Ilani. Tessa Claire Levine, Theo Du Bois, Theodore Teddy Joseph Kane, Theodore G. Constable, Tislin Francis Rogers, Trenton Bridges, Trevor Rafael Zacares, Trey Hamilton, Valentina Espinosa Zarate, Valentina Marie Foster, Valentina Ortiz Rivera, Vincent Andrew Fedsuk, Vincent Cole Hokuk, Vincenzo Rafael Ruggiero, Vivian Bruder, Wesley Henderson Holden, Wilder Daniel Leiser, Wilder Elliott Cuxini, Willa James Hamilton, William Gabriel Heckox, William James Frederick, Winnie Ruslan Rosenthal, Ren Ann Liu, Wyatt Matthew Woodcroft, Xavier Isaac Galan, Zach Sumilas, Zaire Corville Thomas, Zayeth Emiliano Leva. Thank you for this honor.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you had a great time walking and standing for change. We're nearing the end. Just hang with us for a little bit. Please come back in, just enjoy the sun on the grass. We're gonna have our last keynote speaker. Okay. Our closing keynote speaker is our very own Executive Director, Sam Durante Banerjee, mother of Alana. This incredible march was her vision, and she has worked tirelessly along with the push directors and change makers to bring it to life. And first, let's give her a round of applause for this amazing March for Change, right? The first of its kind. So I want to welcome to the stage, Samantha.
Hi, everybody. Before I do anything else, I have to take a moment to thank our families, thank our partners, our parents, our children's teachers and caregivers and domestic workers and everyone who has contributed in ways large and small to make this day happen. Because our push team has been working tirelessly, literally around the clock, for the last year and a few months since we launched, and we could not have done it without you, without your support. So thank you. Thank you to all of you. Thank you especially to those of you who have basically lost your spouse over the past year to our mission here. But I hope that today will make it all worth it. It has been an honor and a privilege to lead the PUSH team as executive director over the past year. But let's get real. This is not what I wanted to do with my life. In 2013, when I was pregnant with my first child, my daughter Alana, I had a perfect, blissful pregnancy. 2 days before her due date, I showed up at the hospital in labor, only to be told that her heart had inexplicably stopped beating. I delivered her perfect, beautiful body. Which was perfect in every way, except for the one way that really mattered. We kissed her dark hair. We told her how much we love her. And then we drove home, her brand new car seat rattling in the back. The doctors told me that she was perfect. We had no idea why our healthy baby had died 2 days before she was due to be born. And we were left with so many unanswered questions and so many what ifs. I had read every book, blog, and website I could get my hands on, took a 10-week birthing course. I thought I knew everything there was to know about pregnancy. How did I not even know that this could happen to us? Why had no one ever explained the importance of monitoring fetal movement? What if I had slept on my side every night of the third trimester instead of my back? Did I eat the wrong thing? Did I not exercise enough? Was it that one random time at like 14 weeks pregnant when I slipped down 2 steps? But most importantly, why was I the only person I knew who couldn't seem to bring their baby home alive? Our baby was healthy. Our doctors had followed all the protocols they'd been trained to do. And so the only answer was, it had to have been me. I must have done something wrong. I must have made some kind of terrible mistake. Any parent here today can tell you how soul-shredding that kind of guilt is. I spent months, years after Alana's death, strangled by despair. So badly, I could barely breathe. I wanted nothing more than to crawl into my daughter's grave beside her and let the darkness swallow me whole. And it nearly did. But I was lucky enough to get pregnant again, not once, but twice, with 2 more beautiful children who I know would have been very deeply loved by their older sister. And the care that I received in those pregnancies was worlds away from what Alana and I got in our first. Why didn't they do this for my first child? Why did I have to pay for this level of care with my child's life? But it wasn't until I started meeting other moms and hearing all of their whispered confessions of the many things they thought they must have done wrong to cause their child's death that it finally dawned on me. None of us did anything wrong. Our doctors, in many cases, did not do anything wrong. Rather, this is a system-level failure. It's a failure to get the right information to the right people at the right time. It took a long time for it to sink in, but I can finally say with confidence that I did not fail my daughter. We failed my daughter. But that doesn't have to be. We have to come together and push hard for change. And that's why we're here today. 65 babies were born still yesterday. 65 babies will be born still again today. And unless we collectively do something as a nation, 65 are going to be born still tomorrow too. Every single one of those deaths weighs on me. And I know that's true for many of you too. None of us wants to be here today, but we are. Because those babies still count. Our babies still count. And they may have been born into silence, but we are going to make their voices heard. $23,000 families in the past year have lost a child to stillbirth. And most never know that it could happen to them until it did. They warn us about prematurity. They warn us about SIDS. They warn us about drowning and car accidents, about guns and fire and poison and flu and listeria. And guess what? Stillbirth claims more children's lives in the US every year than all of those things combined. And it's just as preventable as any of them. How can families protect their child against a risk that they don't even know exists? That is simply not fair. But no one today is giving families the chance to know that everything possible was done to get their baby home safe. Let me be very clear. The silence around stillbirth is lethal. No family should have to live with the what ifs that all of our families here today do. And so we're here to put an end to the silence. And we're here to tell you the things that we wish someone had told us. Know you're normal, because no one knows your baby or your body better than you. Movements matter. They are the only way that your child has to communicate with you before they're born. And counting your kicks and getting to know your baby's normal patterns is a beautiful way to bond with your child and to get to know them and their personality before they're born. Always ask if you have any concerns. Your providers are on your team. They want to hear from you. And always ask immediately. Don't wait until your next appointment. Don't wait until morning. If you feel something is different, something has changed, speak up right away, because swift action could literally save your or your child's life. And please, can we cut it with the juice? If someone tells you that their baby isn't moving, do not tell them to drink juice. Juice is not a miracle cure. It will not save a baby who's in distress. Let's do away with that old wives' tale once and for all. And finally, if you're not being heard, use your mom voice. You do whatever needs to be done, because that's what a parent does. And you are a parent from the moment you decide that you want to bring a child into this world. So don't let anyone tell you that you are not the authority on your own pregnancy. Families deserve to know that stillbirth still happens, that it happens even in healthy, low-risk pregnancies like mine, that it happens to parents from all backgrounds, all races, all socioeconomic classes, though it's twice as common in Black women due to institutionalized racism in our medical system and society. And it could happen to you the same way it happened to all of us. I don't tell you this to scare you. I tell you because knowing this gives you the power to act. I have to quote our medical director, Fernanda Sheridan. Faye says, "We talk about stillbirth so you don't have to live it. But we, the families, we cannot do this alone." Did you know that the United States currently ranks 48th out of 49 high-income countries and 183rd out of 195 countries in the world in average rate of reduction of stillbirth over the past 20 years? That is shameful. Shame on this country. It is time to make stillbirth prevention a priority. Our international peers are doing it, and if they can do it, we can too. It's time to overhaul prenatal care standards in this country, because every child deserves the care that Alana's brother and sister received. It's time to pass the Shine for Autumn Act and the Maternal and Child Stillbirth Prevention Act of 2022. It is time for our nation's leaders to acknowledge the immense toll of stillbirth and that it affects all Americans. It's time to invest some of the exorbitant amount of money that this country spends on healthcare towards getting more parents and babies through pregnancy and home safe together. We can do this. Enough with the excuses, enough with the inaction, enough with shrugging our shoulders and telling parents these things just happen and they can have another baby. Because they can't. No child is replaceable. My Alana is not replaceable. I'm sorry, baby girl. I'm sorry that we, as a country, failed you. But I will not let your death be in vain. Enough is enough. It's time to end preventable stillbirth. Thank you. Partners, allies, any families who want to, come join us up on the stage as we head into our celebration of life. Before our babies died, they lived. And their lives matter. And the world will know their names. I would like to invite out our next performers, Batala, who are going to lead us into the celebration of life in honor of all babies born still. Come on close. We're going to do the screen now. You ready? Yeah, come close. And I think we've done a good job today of holding it together, of channeling our pain and our anchor and our love into change. And that's what society likes to see. And we're happy to deliver because it's the only way left to us to parent our children who have died. But before we move forward together into celebration in honor of our children, let us take a moment to acknowledge the reality of stillbirth. Silence. Our babies were born into it. We came home into silent houses, to lives turned upside down. We face the silence of friends and colleagues who don't know what to say, because how could they? And the public silences our grief, our anguish, and so often we suffer in silence. So I would like to let the nation, just for a few moments, see what stillbirth has done to our families. And this is just a glimpse, because I assure you, that's all this nation can take. Things are about to get very loud, so if you might be upset by screaming or have a sleeping child or a puppy, feel free to move away now. So I would like to invite you all to join with us, if you feel moved, in a cathartic group scream. Let's let it out. Let's show the world what stillbirth really is. Batala, will you lead us?
Sam?
Please feel free to join us on the dance floor.
Woo! Yeah! Thank you, Batala. You can follow them on IG, Batala DC. Thank you so much.
Hi, this is Sam, Executive Director of PUSH, and I just wanted to come on one more time to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts to all of you who joined us today in virtual space at our satellite events and here in DC. Thank you for your dedication to ending preventable stillbirth. Thank you for standing up to say that every stillborn baby still counts. And thank you for pushing with us for change. United we push for families, for babies, for change. Thank you.